swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Your name, please?
Jennifer Belfast.
I'm sorry?
Belfast, B-E-L-F-A-S-T.
Thank you.
I'm at 162 Charles Avenue, Tacoma, California. I'm behind the movie theater. As far as the hospital goes, I'm an RN. I'm all for healthcare workers having more jobs, so I think that's great. Just really wouldn't want my job in my front yard, and I don't think anybody would. I've been there for 13 years, and the movie theater was in my backyard when I moved there. Granted, I'll take that hit, it wasn't a problem. But since then, I've seen Charles Avenue, the character of the area change. We love our older homes, and we take pride of ownership. Right now, it looks goofy because you have a strip of houses in between all this commercial development. I think we need to decide if we want this to be commercial or do we want it to be residential, because the way it is now, it's a problem. The movie theater, the mall, has added lights. Last year, I think, there is no nighttime at my house. There is no nighttime in my backyard. It is light all the time. I could mow my lawn at 2:30 in the morning if I wanted to. The movie theater has big security lights behind them. A Nissan dealership was put in across the street from there. They can never seem to find what keys go to what car, so they come there all hours of business and they bring their box of keys and they set off all the car alarms so they see which key goes to which place. We have new businesses coming in. We have the Dunkin' Donuts, I think there's a Panera, a new plaza going in. It's going to increase traffic. Charles Avenue is not much more than a cut through. If you don't live there, you're just using it to cut through. You're not obeying the speed limit. You're not watching the stop sign. The stop sign at the corner of California and Charles, where I live, it's a great place to see how fast you can go on a 25-mile-an-hour street and how good you can stop if you can squeal your tires fast enough. And when you do stop, it's a great place to peel out, burn your tires, and zip around the corner and hope you don't slip in a circle. There's a lot of accidents there. And right now, as of a couple of weeks ago, there's a daycare center at the house next door to me. We're surrounded with businesses. So which way are we going? Are we houses? Are we residential? Are we businesses? Because right now we're sandwiched and we're getting squeezed.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak against the proposal? Okay. At this point, then, if according to the record, you would like to make a rebuttal to any comments, you have an opportunity to assist at this time.
I would just like to enter into the record, once again, it's Ed Baranski speaking, is that the east end of Charles Avenue does not have a parking lot on it yet because there was a gentleman, an elderly gentleman that wanted to live out his years in his house that had a life estate that I'd love to allow him to do. So there's obviously no mounding or trees there because there's no parking lot there yet, and that is happening as we put in the additional parking lot. Everything else up to the point of where we put the parking lot in is exactly what was agreed to with Boardman zoning and by the board that was in front of me at that time. For the record, in that from my standpoint, my word is my bond. So last night when your zoning administrator and I were talking, and Mr. Connor at the time was saying, here we go again, it's 2 weeks and nothing done, is that I was ambivalent between the fence that would take 8 or 9 weeks to put in and be plastic and the beautiful mounds and things that I have at my golf course and my house that are about twice the cost. So I pulled every favor, and I'd like to just put into the record, this is what happened in 8 hours of what our people got done. And we are halfway done. Those things will all be grassed in. And you'll see how they kind of start and stop. That's at the end of it where the parking lot ends. And how it was designed so that the parking lot lights and all of that are shielded from Charles. The mound is mostly on my side, and all of that will be put up. So this is kind of from Mrs. Tatarski's side. This is a picture taken this afternoon from across the street into what her family and everybody is looking at. And once again, I still feel that this is goodwill, not needed, but I would do that to my house and to my patrons there. Lastly, I just wanted to put for the record a letter from Generator Specialist that one of the other items that Mr. Connor mentioned was the generator, and that was put into place about an hour after a meeting with Mr. Connor. It was looked at, it was engineered, because those things don't sometimes happen, putting pipes on generator exhaust. That is ordered and it's being manufactured by Generator Specialist and should be done within the week. Thank you.
At this point, Sarah, I want to make sure we just covered a couple of things I just want to make comments on, and if anyone wants else to comment. First of all, I think one of the things that I'm getting out of this is I would hope that in the future we can create opportunities for improved dialogue and communication, because clearly this was something that happened 6-7 years ago, and up until a month ago, none of us even knew that this was an issue. And had we, I think moving forward, hopefully we can improve the communication so that we can try to address these issues in a more timely manner. But I also think that there's other very important points that were brought up about the neighborhood and the zoning in general, as far as the residential versus commercial. I think that that is something that we have to address as a township. But I do have to say that the purpose of this hearing, let's break down what the real issue is here. And the real issue, as I understand it, is the lights in the living room, which I think there's an agreement across the board here that we want to eliminate that. We want to do it in a way that looks good, and aesthetically looks nice. And I think this whole situation, I think, has given the neighbors an opportunity to verbalize what their concerns have been over the last few years. But I do think that we have to address the issue at hand, which is the fact that if we can prevent the lights from coming into your houses, that should solve the problem. And I guess what I'm going to suggest is that we can do this in such a way that is giving the neighbors what you need, at the same time, I think, encouraging and supporting someone who has contributed to our community with the work that he's done with that hospital. I'm going to suggest that we have 20 days before we have to actually vote on this. Is that right, Sarah?
Yes, correct.
And I think that my understanding is that a lot of work could be done with these mounds in the next 20 days.
Yeah, can be.
Any comments?
Larry, I think that's an excellent suggestion. Don't know what happened in 2006, or what didn't happen, I guess is the way to put it. We're here today, let's fix the problem. Larry, I think it's a great suggestion. Mr. Moransky, do you think in the next 20 days that most of this can be resolved?
If it did rain today, it might have been done today. 20 days and they'll see the trees up and everything will be planted and grass will be sprayed on there as well.
There's a couple issues I thought I heard the neighbors talk about. The fumes, that should be, we have a letter here, I don't know if Mr. Connor, have you seen the letter, that part has been ordered for the generator. Now that is something obviously engineering, and that's really out of Mr. Moransky's hands as far as with it, but I'm sure he's got it coming as fast as it'll get here. Once it arrives, it'll go up. That should solve that issue, hopefully. Go ahead.
What if that piping is put in and it doesn't resolve the issue and it still fumes?
Well,
what recourse do we have?
Everything I mean, this is my first conversation with Mr. Moransky on this, and from everything I heard, if there's another solution, he'll look at it, I'm sure, if that didn't solve it, because that's probably more severe than the lights, is the fumes. And I would think that you would look at that as another option, if that's, hopefully that's the, there may not be an option, but hopefully we can find that. I thought I heard too today that the mounting, I did go by it today, and it actually doesn't look too bad once I think I can visualize the trees, additional trees and the grass on it. I think that it'll start to look more like a park setting, but it's hard to visualize that with dirt. But I might just hear correctly that you're going to build that other parking lot, and that mounting will go from one end all the way to the other end of that.
It will go from retention pond to retention pond. So it will go almost to the corner of California and Charles, where our retention pond starts, and go all the way down around 400 feet, all the way to, there's another small retention pond right before you get to Southern Boulevard. And then there'll be a curb cut, the curb cut that's in. So almost down to the curb cut.
and I thought I heard some discussion here about cutting down 2 curb cuts. Is that what I heard? Are we removing some of those? Are we?
What happened is 2 of the residences, one was the gentleman that just passed away, the approach is still in. So that's what they use for the trucks and stuff.
That'll be removed?
Rick Vernal asked me for the next couple of days because it's easier for the trucks to go over that than a curb. And then that'll be done as well in the 20 days so that the approaches will be gone, curbs will be put back in. And
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you're going to fix the generator, but we'll talk about it if for some reason it's still not solved. The mounting's going to go from retention to retention. The height is obviously, we've seen photos, Sarah provided photos, you provided photos. And then 3, you're going to remove, or I guess is that the word, remove the curb cuts?
just fix them.
Fill them in.
What happened, you can imagine, there were like 8 or 9 houses, we fixed all but the last 2. One we used for construction the last time, and the other the gentleman. So both of
We're gonna fix
those,
those 2.
one has a full approach left, because we just tore the house down a couple months ago.
And then
the
I
other
would
one has
imagine
some
that any
remnants of the
expanded
street.
parking lot, any lighting would be redirected towards your facility.
It's already in. And I asked our neighbors, I wanted to make sure way back when that lighting was facing the right way, and they did say that was being accomplished.
Also heard Mr. Connor talk about a trash can. I don't know if there is one there, but I heard him say that today. Is there a trash can back
There's
there?
none on that side of the building. They're all on the
That's not
west
something
side.
you would add.
Never, no. We have 2 compactors on the west side, the back end of the building.
Okay, and then, am I allowed to ask questions of Mr. Connor? Is that allowed to do this? Okay, I'm just making sure if I'm allowed, don't do anything. Mr. Connor, hearing all that, because I sat down with you one time on this, hearing this, the issue is not the building being added onto, because that's really an insignificant part of the whole plan. It's just allowing the building to be added onto, and that won't change anything, I don't think, in this whole scheme. But you're looking for those things that I just kind of highlighted to be resolved. If those things are resolved, you're comfortable with him coming out a small way from his from the current building as it is. I thought I heard that. You tell me that.
I believe so, and
that's really
being a
not
spokesman
the
for the residents.
It's just about fixing it. And in all honesty, I believe Mr. Moransky didn't know about this. I believe there was 3 trustees that it went through. It went through 2 zoning inspectors that are no longer here. And it was a failure on our part to monitor that 6.5 years ago.
The other thing
We do
here
apologize for that. This is why we want to correct that.
is accountability and follow from the 2006 meeting. That's has never been done.
Well,
So
I think what Mr. Costello or Mr. Calhoun is saying, I think we all take responsibility for that, even though
We weren't
most of us were here.
I understand that.
Responsibility for that.
I don't want this repeated. Is
We
what
wanna
I'm,
find a
what I'm
solution.
trying to.
I think we're all on this, I think we're all want the same thing here, and I think that's what we can come up with. And I would ask one other question. Our next, Sarah, would this vote have to take place at a zoning committee meeting, or could it be done at a regular board meeting?
We do not need to have another hearing. It could be done at any official meeting in which the 3 of you are together.
So we have our next board meeting is scheduled for September 9th, which is 2 weeks from now, which is only 14 days. So we have 2 choices. We can be prepared to act on this on the 14th, or I would be willing, I'm sure everyone would be, if we could have a special meeting that would be like 20 days from now, if that extra week would help.
I think I can get everything done in a few years.
Right, so could you maybe, Sarah, stay in contact with Mr. Moransky and his group and with the neighbors?
Yes.
And over the next couple of weeks, and keep the communication open, and hopefully in 2 weeks we have a situation where everybody's happy. Okay. So do we need a motion to put this off for 20 days?
Because this is a hearing, you just need to take in the testimony and you do not need to take an action now.
Okay, good. If there's nothing else, then I will adjourn the hearing and thank everybody for their cooperation and their demeanor and how we handled this hearing. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to stick around, the 11-year-old girls are celebrating their state championship softball season.
Oh, excuse me.
I drove it before I came here today. Okay.
These copies here.
Congratulations, ladies. That's awesome. Who did you beat for the championship? Congratulations. I know because I was there once that the parents should be congratulated as well. More than the kids, the travel and everything.
Are you going?
No, not right now.
We got quiet all of a sudden. School didn't start yet. We don't have to be quiet. It's still summertime. Sorry for the delay, but at this point, we'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. It is August 27th, and we would ask if everyone could please stand for our pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to be here and celebrating the girls' successes, but what we're going to try to do is maybe vary just slightly from this agenda that you might have seen in front of you. We're going to try to cover our whole business meeting here before we recognize everybody, and this should not take very long, so please bear with us a few minutes and we'll try to move forward on this. First of all, I'd like to ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to address the board. Okay. Seeing none, then I would ask if we can move forward. Do want to recognize, though, as we appreciate this time in coming, Dave Turner is here from Ohio Edison, and every time we see you, Dave, we appreciate it, and your quick responses, and anytime we've had any problems in the township, so thank you for being here.
Not a problem. Nice seeing you, man.
At this point, then, to ask for a motion to approve the motions.
Move to approve motions 1 through 10, 1 being regular meeting minutes, August 9th, 2013. Number 2, bills and payroll. 3, appropriation transfers and supplementals. 4, nuisance abatement resolution. 5, authorization for the purchase of 2 police vehicles. Number 6, authorization for the purchase of radios. 7, amendment to the zoning ordinance map. Ohio Revised Code 5.19.12. Authorization. Number 8, purchase a lower deck. Number 9, 5007 Southern Boulevard and 116 Shady Side. It's a motion for the, that's the, that was the grant, okay, the grant for demolition. And 10 is the county auditor's resolution.
Second?
Motion's been made and second. Some discussion? We can kind of go through any of these. Chief Nichols, you want to just talk about the police cars briefly and the radios?
Sure. First, the radios. When we installed our new radio system, it gave us a lot of new capabilities, one of which is patching. And even though our system is on the 800 band, we can patch to the radios of surrounding agencies. So what that means is, say one of our officers chases somebody in the Boardman, he can call on his handheld radio to our dispatch and say, patch me to Beaver, and be instantly in touch with the Beaver police, even though they have a VHF radio and we have an 800 radio. But the reverse isn't quite so easy to happen. Say a Beaver officer would chase somebody or respond to Boardman. In order for him to make the contact with our desk, he would have to call his dispatcher on his handheld, and she then would have to call on the telephone to our dispatch to ask for a patch to be enabled. By doing this, he'll be able to call on his radio to his dispatcher. His dispatcher will be able to come on the air from Beaver PD into our system and request the patch to be enabled. So it speeds the whole process up. And the capability already exists with the city of Youngstown. So by purchasing these 2 radios, one for Beaver and one for Campfield, we basically have issued them to our neighbors. To everybody that surrounds us will have the same capability. The radios will still remain our property, and down the road, if additional communities make changes in their radio system, then we'll get them back and use them for something else. But for right now, it's kind of a safety measure for our officers and for the officers of the surrounding departments.
Thank you. And the cars, simply the vehicles, is we put a lot of miles on. The average number of miles we put on a police vehicle in a year is...
Right. Well, these 2 cars will actually be unmarked vehicles.
Okay.
What we try to do is we try to get 4 years out of our marked cars. And so that means we replace a fourth of our cars every year. And this year we had budgeted to replace 5 cars. But what we actually did was we purchased 3 new cars. We rebuilt 1 old one, and then a 5th one was purchased due to an insurance settlement. So when we bought our marked cars, we actually only bought 3 instead of 5, which I think then it's a good opportunity to get rid of some of our older unmarked stock and replace it. We're replacing a vehicle that was given to us for free by the federal government as a brand new vehicle about 10 years ago. It's been driven by Sergeant Hughes in narcotics enforcement. Mike, our mechanic, tells me that the engine and transmission are on the last legs in that vehicle. And we're going to replace about a 12-year-old van that we've been using also. That'll be replaced with a Ford Focus, and it's all under state contract.
Good, thank you. Sarah, the zoning ordinance, again, continues to be our trying to have some consistency through our neighborhoods so that we can protect the residential areas from lots of multi-unit homes.
Yes, this initiates the wooded area at the corner of Matthews and Sheridan, which is about 200 parcels and undeveloped roads. So this would handle that area.
And do you also want to comment on motion number 9, the properties on Southern Boulevard and Shady Side?
Yes, these were 2 recent fines. One is the case of a fire. They're both in pretty bad shape for the Attorney General demolition grant. This brings us up to 15 homes, and we have our eye on 5 others we're thinking we can try and sneak in this year.
Good, thank you. Mr. Wilson, do you want to comment on the mower deck?
Yes, this is a second purchase. We just a short time back purchased the Ventrac mower. It came in with a regular mowing deck on it. We have since found out that although it does a wonderful job on regular grass, some of the retentions that we have are older and have been infested with weeds, whereas we need a brush hog deck to take these weeds down. We had one come in for a demo for a week. The guys liked it. It works very well, so we need to purchase one to keep it on ours.
And Mr. Platten, this resolution for the auditor, that is a standard practice then?
Yes, it is. It's a yearly practice.
Good. Okay, is there any more discussion on these motions? Okay, can I ask for a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Cotton.
Aye.
Mr. Costello.
Aye.
Mr. Molnatrone.
Aye.
Vote carries 3-0.
If we can move now to our department reports briefly, Mr. Wilson, the road superintendent.
Yes, I have only one FYI. We are done milling right now. We have 10 roads that have been paved out of the 26 that we're paving. We're fighting the weather now. We had to shut down this afternoon because the rain came through, and we had an experience several, well, I won't say several, a long time ago, the road peeled up on us because we tried to pave it in the rain. So we're pretty cautious as to not to do that. So we're hoping that possibly by the end of next week, because it looks like we're going to rain tomorrow too, that we should be done paving, and they should be moving on to the other townships that are involved.
Great. Again, that was a partnership with
Austin Town and Canfield.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mayor. Fire Chief Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. Quickly this evening, I'd just like to report that we had a major accident yesterday on Lockwood Boulevard. I'd like to commend the firefighters that were on the scene through some adverse conditions. We had a lot of extrication to get the gentleman out of the car that the tree had fallen on, and overall the operation went well, and that gentleman is recovering in the hospital, and we're thankful for that.
And the reports that we got from some of the folks in the news media was they mentioned how quickly we responded to that. So.
Again, it took all on-duty personnel, and we were fortunate that we were able to have the Western Reserve Joint Fire District come in and cover our Station 71. We also alerted the Cardinal Joint Fire District of Canfield, and they responded to a call for us on Boardman Canfield Road at Burger King. So again, through our neighbors, we were able to cover everything else while we were taking care of that incident. Also, I'd like the board, if they could, mark the calendars. October 12th will be our fire department open house this year, and we will again be running that from about 11 to 2 and doing the normal things that we do, but just so you can save the date. That will be October 12th.
Great. Thank you.
Other than that, I have nothing for the board, unless the board has something for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Nichols?
Just 2 bits of information for the board. In 2010, we had applied for and received a COPS grant, which allowed the hiring of 2 police officers. And in between the time that we received the grant and the time we actually did the hiring, a labor contract was renegotiated, and the rate of pay for the newly hired officers was reduced substantially. So as we come to the end of that grant here at the end of August, there was still $100,000 left unexpended in the grant. So we did an application to the Department of Justice to extend the grant, and they agreed with it. They gave us the extension. So it has the net effect of $100,000 to the township. So it was kind of a nice thing to find out last week. And the second thing is just to remind the board that on Thursday, we're going to do the first of the installation of the emergency radios that we're installing in all of the school buildings in the township, public schools and parochial schools, and one Youngstown school at the Paul C. Bunyan in Boardman Township. And that's basically being done as a joint effort with the fire department. They're the surplus radios that were taken out of service when the new system came in, and the cost for doing this is going to be paid from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, which means we're going to let the criminals pay the expense of increasing the level of safety in our schools. So that's kind of a nice thing.
We can remind everybody that we were saying that if there's God forbid there's an emergency in the school system, everyone's taking their cell phones and trying to call 911, and the lines all get jammed up. This will be a direct line. There will be a radio wired in at the schools that they will be able to call directly into our dispatch.
Directly into emergency dispatch.
What time is that Thursday?
11 o'clock Thursday.
And I should also note at this point too, in contact with our superintendent, Frank Lazaria, I know that both Police Chief Nichols and Fire Chief Brown are going to be participating, and I think the trustees are going to be trying to participate also in Columbus, where the school system is going to be discussing the partnership that the school system and the township has in Boardman to deal with some of these issues. So I think this is another good example of how we're working very well together. So thank you. Okay. Any questions for the chief? Sarah, our zoning inspector, is there anything additional for us?
I'm pretty tapped out. If the board has any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them, but basically, the motions we have going and the public hearings we're having pretty much cover what we're up to right now.
Good. Stephanie Landers filling in for our administrator, Jason Marie. Anything, Stephanie?
No, I have nothing for you.
Good. And George Platten sitting in today for our fiscal officer, Bill Light.
There's nothing else the board has questions.
Good. Is there any old business then? Any new business?
Our next meeting, just to remind all, in case you want to come back, is Monday, September the 9th at 5:30. We'd love to have you.
Okay, so with that, we can then move to what we really wanted to come here to do today, was to celebrate. And one of the things that we've talked about is that we really have to celebrate the successes that we have in Boardman Township. And the 11-year-old All-Stars, the girls went to Bucyrus, a wonderful Bucyrus, the bratwurst capital of the state of Ohio. And I say that because I had the experience with Mr. Monosky of going down to Bucyrus a few years ago, that we did not have this type of success. So it is great that you went and avenged our loss back in that year by coming back from Bucyrus with a state championship. So we couldn't be happier, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was a good experience, though, and so it's good to see that you guys came back. So we're really happy to celebrate. And what we were hoping to do today, we do have a little, I guess, I don't know if you went through the cookies yet, because you got a few minutes. What we want to do is to offer everyone a proclamation, and also what we have is a coin that we use to kind of celebrate Boardman Township as sort of a souvenir that we want each one of you to have. So what we'd like you to do is, I'm going to read the names, and Mr. Costello and Mr. Calhoun are going to pass out the proclamations. And we would ask if all the ladies could kind of line up over here when we call your name. Jenna Burns.
Did you read the proclamation?
Oh yeah, I should do that. This proclamation says that this proclamation is honoring the Boardman All-Stars, 11-year-old girls state softball champs 2013. Whereas the Boardman girls 11-year-old All-Star softball team is being honored for being the state softball 2013 champions for the first time in Boardman's history, with a final score of Boardman 12, Talmadge 4. It's really nice to beat Talmadge once in a while.
Yes.
Hopefully this is the beginning of a lot more. Whereas it is with great community pride that we cheer for the individual members of the team, their manager, coach, and scorekeeper. So with that, we, therefore, the trustees of Boardman Township, do hereby tender this proclamation of recognition to the Boardman All-Stars, 11-year-old girls state softball champions 2013, and congratulate them for their dedication and sportsmanship, and thank them for making their community very proud. So, we met Jenna Burns already. Melissa Devanzo.
She wants you to line up here. Yeah. Photos later.
Jersey Gorby. Sophia McGee. Logan Monosky. Madeline Trell. Karina Cummings. Madison Dimitra.
Not
here.
Thick-ish.
Gwyneth Lesnansky. Marissa Maluski. Gabriella Pantaleo. And Maria Youngblood. Also like to ask our scorekeeper, Tony Pantaleo, to be here. Assistant coach, Mike Trowell. we want to, ladies, if you could do something here, turn around for a minute. One of the other things we like to do is, you have the proclamation and you've got the coins, and one of the things that I've heard about what your experience was through there, and knowing your coaches and your managers and knowing a lot of your parents, I know where this came from. But you guys all have your names on the back of your shirts. And what I love about that is you were out there and individually you went out there and you played your hearts out and you brought back that championship. But we also know that the name on the front of your shirts, Boardman, that you represented Boardman really well and appropriately down there, not only on the field but off the field. And you guys set an example of sportsmanship, and now teams are supposed to go down there and play in these state championships. So I want to congratulate you, and I'm hoping this is only the first time that we're seeing a lot of you back here accepting these proclamations. But the other thing that we started as a tradition a number of years ago is not only the proclamation and the coins, but we have something else that we think is very special that we want to be able to present to the girls this year. And this time, why don't we give this to you guys and let's get some pictures taken with this. Coach, do you want to make a comment? Mr. Gordon,
I just want to thank Boardman for all their support and giving these young ladies this opportunity, of course, to get all these tremendous proclamations and, of course, these coins and of course, a sign that they'll have for the rest of their lives to come back to each other, kids and grandkids. And just thank, again, all these parents because it was a team effort, not only, of course, these young ladies, but these tremendous parents behind these young ladies getting to practice every day. And, of course, I want to thank Coach Trell and Mr. Penteloni. They were fantastic in regard to everything they did to give these kids, like we talked about, they were sponges. These kids were wonderful in regard to on and off, and they represented in a first-class manner the way what we should represent. So I just want to thank everybody for everything that they did to make it a team effort in the state championship.
Thank you very much. You don't have enough pictures of this group, right?
Jump in front.
You want to get them really close together?
Hey, Bo.
Poor Bo.
What's the trustees? Yeah, there it is. Brad. Mr. Calvin, you got the fire truck and stuff. Everything's on.
Everyone's taking pictures of mine.
No pressure for next year.
That's but it could have been.
Thank you, everybody. We do have cookies and refreshments. We'd ask if everybody, we're going to just close out the meeting, and then we can have some refreshments. Yeah, you can do. You guys can take some pictures with the seal or whatever you want to do.
No, you're good.
We'll close out the meeting and we'll get out of your way. So we can just ask for a motion.
I move to adjourn into executive session at 6:05 p.m. for purposes of discussing personnel, zoning employment, and fire department employment.
Second. Roll call, please.
Have a seat just real quick.
Ow!